I am very lucky to be talking to Bill Playford right now. What's going on?
Hey man, it's we're trading this lovely Michigan weather for lovely Georgia weather, and going to a summer camp slash conference in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia, and it's going to be the most unconference unimaginable. So it's gonna be great.
And so often when we go to those same conferences, those same hotels, those same cities, you kind of get in a rut, and I'm going to go to the same restaurants, talk to the same folks. I love that Dealer Knows is like completely scratching the record on what a dealer conference is. What can you give us a quick synopsis of how this is going to be different from the same old, same old?
Yeah, and I'm glad you actually made the perfect segue because that's exactly it. In retail automotive, most of the conferences take place in the exact same cities, like over and over again. And
Time to make the donut.
for a
Yeah.
certain segment, yeah, but I mean, for a certain segment of the population, it's Vegas. You know what I mean? Like they've never been to Vegas, and so they're like, "Oh, let's go to Vegas." But once you've been to Vegas, like every year for the last 14, 15 years or whatever, like it really loses its luster after like maybe the second or third trip, and so then you find yourself going to like off strip, Chinese restaurants that also do like foot massages and stuff like that because you've already done the whole, gambling thing, and and it really devolves into sort of the entertainment side of things as opposed to learning, and that's as we have sort of progressed over the years, and as our company has regularly participated in multiple conferences across the U.S. and Canada over the years, it kind of like you said falls into that groove like a record. And what we wanted to do was sort of take a look at all of those areas where we find like, listen, if you don't want to go to Vegas and you don't want to play dress up and you don't want to have to fly and do all those things, like there should be an opportunity for you to kind of just be yourself, make it hyper inclusive, and really make it about learning as opposed to the venue and where it's at.
Right. Oh, it's complete. You have to switch up your inputs. Creativity
Mm-hmm.
and evolving and getting better at stuff is all about cross pollination. If you are always
Mm-hmm.
going to the same conferences, reading the same magazines, listening to the same gurus, you kind of start to tap out. Your the incremental value starts to go down. So by getting people out, some of the things you've got planned for this conference, we're we're not just trading our desk at the dealership for a desk in some windowless conference room. We're around a campfire. We're experiencing, we're interacting on an intimate level where things can really break through. But the the inputs are changing, just our environment, the people we're talking to, the level of connections. I think this is just going to be a next level event for folks.
I think that for all those reasons and more though, because of that sort of kind of all encompassing part of it is like it's at a real campground and nobody's camping, by the way. I mean, if somebody wanted to camp they could, but we have nice places for people to stay at night, and we're handling all the transportation back and forth and everything. But to your point though, it's sort of like that after and actually during, like we're doing like intramural sports and stuff like that in between the sessions so people can get outside, and if you want to go hiking, we even have a yoga studio set up. People want to do some mindfulness exercises. But what I'm looking forward to most is just that. It's just being able to hang out with people. The speakers are all sticking around for all the time. So unlike a lot of conferences that you and I have gone to in the past, where people just kind of blast in, blast out, they do their half an hour, 45 minutes, they're like deuces and they're gone. We're not doing that. Like people actually want to stay, and they're having the same reaction you're having. Like, I want to
I
make s'mores. I want to, I want to do those things. And so it's just really a way to really build that community. And for somebody who kind of came up at kind of an earlier time where these automotive conferences were kind of getting their identity, when they initially started, like people wanted to like hang out. Like the speakers were there. Like it was more of a uh, what's wrong for, like, I mean, it's more egalitarian to use a big word, but I mean that's really what it was. There wasn't like this separation, and you were a lot of times learning from your peers. So it might be one of your colleagues that's up there giving a presentation, and everybody compare notes, and everybody head over to the bar in the hotel, and it's that type of community we're looking to really reboot. It's just sort of lost, and I think is a guy that we met at South by Southwest, and we went to kind of South by Southwest like during its heyday, and that's kind of what it was like. Is like these are authors you might follow. These might be the magazine people that are there doing the podcasts and stuff like that. But then you can hang out and chill with them, and like actually talk to them, and kind of build that network. And so having had that ability with you, I could call you up a couple of years later and say, hey, can you help me with my TEDx conference? And years later, 10 plus years later, I could call you up and say, hey, can you come keynote my event? Like that never would have happened without that type of community. And we want to provide that ability for like the next generation of people in this business to build that sort of brain trust, but also do it with pretty good people. You know what I mean? Kind of help seed it a little bit with good ethical people who want to be there and want to mentor. And I think that's really where I feel like the summer camp's cool, but the part I look forward to the most is sort of like what this does, like how this like reverberates afterwards.
Yeah, I think better when I'm moving. Like if I'm on a conference call, oftentimes I'll go for a hike. I've got woods out back of my house. Just the blood's pumping. I'm moving, but having shared experiences, like you said at South by or some places, when you get outside of that classroom, you've got a lot to do. And look, I know the great weather is coming. We're both in the Detroit area. Getting down to Atlanta, we're kind of moving a few months heading to spring, so it's great to get out into the outdoors before summer hits. And I'm excited to go and learn and share. And I think we're less than a week away, but there are still a few tickets left. If people want to join us down there, how can people get a ticket to Dealer Knows Summer Camp?
If you go to dealerknows.com, I mean, there's a giant pop-up and there's a link that will all the information there. And we have a variety of different discount packages and stuff available. So by all means, please, you can reach out to me, bill@dealerknows.com. And I'd be happy to discuss that or share any more details in regards to that. But even just from the onset, part of having this at a summer camp in May, allowed it to be super cost effective. We didn't want costs to be a barrier for anybody. The tickets are very incremental, relative to other conferences. And all people have to do really essentially is to fly themselves down or drive, I guess, at this point in time, and get a hotel. But all the meals are covered while you're there. All the entertainment's covered. Drinks are covered. We actually have mixed drinks. It's not like you're going to get, box white Zinfandel or some of the deal. But like we want to cover all that aspect because we also know that's part of conferences. People want to go. They want to get a little loose, a little loquacious maybe after that. But we want to make sure that all that stuff's taken care of. So all the transportation from the airport, if you are flying in, taken care of. Transportation back and forth to the hotel. So we mess around the rental cars and things of that nature. Just try to make it as seamless and friction-free as possible.
If you want to make sure 2023 is a banner year for you, this is your chance. This is your swift kick in the ass. Join us next week down in Atlanta for Dealer Knows Summer Camp. Bill, one last question for you. Who is the perfect person who needs to be at this event?
I'm glad you asked that question. We're really gearing it towards ideally like a duo. We'd love to have that sort of up and comer, the new, young gun that's really coming up in the business, but also have like a mentor available, like a senior manager. And so that we feel like that's sort of the best way to kind of, like I said, seed this whole process. But definitely want to get the younger folks there just because there's a lot to learn. I think that anybody be hard pressed in the space to find a better group of speakers. Everything's a workshop, by the way. So it's not a bunch of, PowerPoint presentations or things of that nature. It's really more about teaching, and that after, kind of the classroom time and going out and go for a jog or whatever, like then you can actually talk to speakers, get more details.
We're going to be
really want to get that
ideas
kind of young
back and
audience.
forth. I mean, this is not just lecturing. This is kind of working through the issues and coming up with an action plan you're going to take back.
Yep, and that's it. So it's funny you say that because we actually, a lot of the speakers have workbooks already. Understanding the sessions are kind of short, and we're kind of doing it like a little TEDx style. But in any event, we actually have what we call a camp counselor who is an SME in their own right, but also has a lot of cross-functional experience. So even though they're, kind of quote unquote camp SEO, that counselor actually came from a dealership, actually has a tremendous amount of digital retail experience, has co-founded a couple companies. Like, he's got a lot of experience available for that, and he's actually going to help those people come up with an action plan. So the idea is to take what you're learning at the camp, whether it's something that it happens inside of, quote unquote SEO camp, or another one of the different offerings that are available. They're going to actually help you sit down and go through an action plan, so that way you can go back to your dealership or place of business or whatever and actually put that to work, which is one of the biggest things about camp that we wanted to, or conferences, that we wanted to address. The fact that while everybody's out having fun, boozing it up, they're not learning much, and we want to make sure that we have something that they can take it back. So if they are getting sponsored by their employer, let's say, they can actually go back and show something and put that in motion. It's something that they can do. It's not outside of their abilities, but something they put in motion that day. So that's really one of the major goals of this.
So there you have it, folks. Next week, leave your khakis at home, put on your hiking boots, join us at the Dealer No Summer Camp. Let's make 2023 the best year yet.